that is a real fact. As of the one and only time I went to a NASCAR race, you could show up with a cooler.
Would it be so bad if an 84-year-old got into heroin?
Welcome to the Cat Organizational Podcast.
You idiot. It's written down in front of you idiot.
This is like the buffalo chicken wrap of answers.
I haven't heard about hot orcs in a while.
We were so horny for motion controls in 2005.
I can't wait to come back and tell you how it was Noah's Ark, you asshole.
I would also like to retroactively say I've never had cotton candy acid.
So Andrew's 100% doing a voice, right?
Everybody get off my IMDb now. Time to record.
This episode and probably this whole podcast is a mistake.
Hello and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right but someone is definitely wrong. In this podcast, we take time out of our not-so-busy adult lives right now to talk about comics, video games, and while we haven't yet cured COVID-19 at the time of this recording, we have found a treatment for forced mass quarantine. And that treatment is, apparently, a daily dose of Animal Crossing New Horizons, followed by adjunctive Overwatch therapy, apply as needed.
Yes, 100%.
I hope that when this episode comes out, the statement, "we haven't found a cure for COVID-19" is as relevant as the episode a couple weeks ago that was like daylight savings time, you know?
Oh, man.
That hurt.
Listen, I'll come out and say, like, I feel bad listening to that daylight savings time episode just because it was like such simpler times.
It was such
where
simpler times.
We were like, oh, the worst thing that's happened to us lately is daylight savings time. And then we all dunk on daylight savings time.
Yeah.
And now, like, we just got an email 2 days ago that we are forbidden from going back into our offices on campus unless it is, like, mission critical.
Yeah, my office got exposed, so no one's going back there.
Oh, wow.
Whoopsie.
No.
Oops. Yeah, good stuff. But hey, we are not going to talk about COVID-19 because this is a happy times podcast, and we're a bunch of good time having couple dudes.
We're a bunch of wild and crazy guys.
Until the yelling starts.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
What I'd really like to talk about in the realm of happy things is Animal Crossing, because holy shit, could Animal Crossing have come out at a better time for America and for the world?
No, it could not have.
COVID-19 is actually just a plot by Nintendo to increase Animal Crossing sales.
Oh, Jesus.
Yikes.
Tinfoil hats
That hurts.
going on.
Oof.
We'll see if that makes the cut. Anyway, what all, gentlemen, who aren't Matt, what makes Animal Crossing such a phenomenon?
The lovable yet soul-crushing capitalism through line.
Yep, I'll take that.
The lack of pressure or any kind of like expectation of you. If you
I like that.
Yeah,
yep.
it's
That also tracks.
It's a very chill game.
Matt, what do you think from what you've heard on Twitter and from everybody that you know who's playing it except for you?
I have seen a lot of Twitter videos of people fishing, and that seems like a good thing, I guess. Fish, big fish. I think big fish is a good part of Animal Crossing.
Big fish.
Big fish.
Really big fish.
Real big fish.
Yeah. I think it's the video game alternative to coloring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I found myself the first day when you're obviously just like running laps on your island and fishing and catching bugs to try and pay off your tent that Tom Nook has like suckered you into. I realized at a certain point in time, I'm like, I realize what I'm doing and it's just repetitive, but I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like whatever it was, just I think I might have said it to Shannon. I was like, this is just relaxing and like great.
Mm-hmm.
It's video game gardening. Like gardening, virtual gardening to give you the same benefit of real life gardening would give you.
Yeah.
Except all of, the food and the sustenance and the things that you can garden.
Well, gardening, not farming.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Animal Crossing, not Stardew Valley.
Yeah, I'm talking about planting flowers outside of your townhouse, not growing corn for sustenance.
Whatever. I'm not even offended that you're dunking on me about Animal Crossing. It's like people throwing cotton balls at you and expecting it to hurt.
Fair enough.
In at least in the last scenario you just painted, we're not at the point where we're growing our own vegetables outside our back doors for sustenance yet.
Not quite.
And at the time of this recording.
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit about what I get out of it. For me, I get to live out my fantasy, which is, of course, acting as a volunteer city manager for a remote community populated only by anthropomorphic animals. Like
I was
everybody.
just telling someone the other day that
Big city manager energy.
Yeah, that my good buddy Andrew's dream was acting as a volunteer city manager for a remote community populated only by anthropomorphic animals.
Hey, you got that out in one. That's good. You got that out in one breath. Me and my best bud Isabel, we can place bridges and optimize train routes like a conductor leading a symphony. Just let you sit on that for just a second. Which is why I've decided to branch out on our operation just a bit. So gentlemen, instead of designing a fantasy video game island to operate as a bustling town, I'm going to turn things on its head. And I'd like to turn an already real city into a fantasy video game. So, to help me do that, I brought in the three of you universally renowned architects, to pitch.
Oh.
Yep, that's the premise.
Way to sell it
to
up
pitch.
front.
So you're going to come in and pitch your real life city to be the setting of the next greatest video game. I'll introduce our panel of city manager hopefuls. First, we've got Matt Art Vandelay Cole. We've got Kyle Ted Mosby Harper.
Oh, not like this, Andrew.
I'm sorry. And Todd Stephen Kovacs Thomas. Do you guys know those references?
I had to look mine up, but I looked it up and I get it. So
Fictional architects.
I looked mine up and 3 different hits came up and none of them immediately told me what it was, so I stopped caring.
Stephen Kovacs is Matthew Broderick's character in The Cable Guy, who was also a fantasy architect.
Oh,
A
okay.
fictional architect.
And then who's Art Vandelay from?
well, what I've
Seinfeld.
learned is that
Okay.
Art Vandelay is not a fictional architect. He is a
He's
fictional
person.
architect.
Yep.
Like he is a fictional architect in a fictional world.
In the meta fiction of Seinfeld, yes.
I don't exist. I do not exist.
He's also an importer exporter.
Oh, perfect.
All right. Well, that one fell flat in its face, but I'm sure there's one person out there that appreciated the Art Vandelay reference.
And that's all we do it for.
That's all we do it for. Let's get into it. So, starting with the basics, give me the very real city that you'd like to turn into a video game. So, describe what kind of game this will be, and then how you will build your city into the game. So, I was thinking, are you going to take it more in like a street-for-street reskin, like San Francisco is in Watch Dogs 2? Or is it more of like a based on remix, like we see Los Santos in Grand Theft Auto, which is, like a combination of Las Vegas and Los Angeles, but just kind of the highlights. Let's start with Mr. Cole.
Okay, so pause. I need to clarify something right now up front. I'm gonna talk about Pittsburgh today, but here's the thing. I'm gonna do a Pittsburgh accent the whole time.
We'll see.
And I'm not gonna lie to you all. My Pittsburgh accent is not very good. It is not, for someone who grew up in greater Pittsburgh, it is not great. But I'm gonna do it anyway. So all y'all don't come at me with the hate for how bad my Pittsburgh accent is for the rest of this episode.
I'm not making any promises.
No. I do want to give Matt credit for coming in costume. For those of you playing at home who can't see him, he is wearing is it a Pens jersey or just a Pens shirt?
It's the last Pens Stanley Cup championship shirt. 4 wins, 4 rounds.
Very nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go Pens. All right, Yinz ready to go downtown. That's right, you Jagoffs. We're
Jesus.
going down to Pittsburgh for the hottest new game coming to Yinz in 2020. Now, when we talk about Pittsburgh, we talk about things like the Stillers, the Pens, and the Buccos.
The Stillers.
But all of them guys have their own games.
I can
in it.
confirm this all exists.
So what else still screams Still City? Well, how about the bridges, the hills, the bridges again, and Heinz Ketchup? Oh, and that GD traffic on 376 towards the airport, the GD traffic at 5th and Penn in East Liberty, and the Squirrel Hill Tubes. Now that, to me, calls for one game and one game only. Crazy Taxi.
Oh, shit.
Yinz will get to experience all of the historic imagery of the City of Champions while driving like an absolute maniac, ignoring traffic laws and running people off the road and that, to deliver Pittsburgh's famous people and paraphernalia all over the city. But our game doesn't come with directions, arrows, or a mini-map. No, this is Pittsburgh, baby. We only give directions like take a right after the giant eagle, and it's down the alley behind the Mr. Rogers statue. Better wash your car and read up the inside. This package needs delivered, and all you got are some hand-scrawled directions Yinz can only reference at stoplights. Oh, and the sultry voice of Double M Mark Madden yelling at Yinz on the radio.
Matt, I have one quick reaction. There's one thing that your deal right here, and my bedroom as a child both have in common, and that's that they are both cattywampus.
Oh man, I have done so much research about Pittsburghese today, and it's like there are all of these words that my whole life I have known, but I always forget are just Pittsburgh things to say. And there are more of them coming, so I don't want to give them all away, but hot damn,
I can't wait.
Pittsburgh language is such a thing.
Matt is injecting himself with Iron City right as we speak.
God, I wish. I called the beer store across the street to see if they had Orange City today, and they don't, and I'm sad about it because Icy Light is my favorite.
It's the beer.
I've only been to Pittsburgh a handful of times, and I have a question and a statement.
Okay, here we go.
What is Squirrel Hill Tubes?
Those are the tunnels in Squirrel Hill.
Okay, that's a very valid answer to the question that I presented you with. Also, is there really, I guess it's a question that'll turn into a statement, is there really a Mr. Rogers statue?
Yes, yeah. It overlooks the river. It's very, very nice.
Mr. Rogers was filmed in Pittsburgh, famously.
Yeah.
Well, before you cut me off, Andrew, I've been on set and I have his autograph. So,
hot shit Todd here. Well, yeah. Todd, if you're such hot shit, let me ask you this. Do you know what a bumbershoot is?
Isn't it a comedy festival? Or a film festival?
No, it's not. Andrew, do you know what a bumbershoot is? How good's your Pittsburghese?
No, I don't.
This was one that I heard today, and I remember my one friend's mom, whose name was Tracy, and that gives you all you need to know. My one friend's mom, Tracy, used to say bumbershoot. Bumbershoot is Pittsburghese for umbrella. That's an umbrella.
I could have sworn there was a comedy or film festival called Bumbershoot, but that's fine.
You know, Rihanna's smash hit single, Bumbershoot.
My only comment is that I know Stillers is Pittsburghese for Steelers, the football team, but instead I'm imagining a football team with Ben Stiller as their mascot.
Yes.
And that's my new headcanon, and no one will convince me otherwise.
It's originally because the term steel mill is too hard to say as a Pittsburgher, so you have to call it a still mill.
The still mill.
Mm-hmm.
The two distinct vowels were too tough for their...
Yeah, it's too many vowels.
Oh, man, don't even get me started on monogaphonification of words, which is what Pittsburghese is. That's a really big real word. Also, I read today that to pronounce Stillers correctly, you've got to keep your tongue on the bottom at the back of your mouth. That's how to properly say Stillers.
Too many steps to say a word.
All right, that's all I got. More Pittsburgh things to come later. But Pittsburgh,
gross.
Best game city. It's going to be the best game in the best city, Pittsburgh.
All right. Well,
let's go Pens.
Just like Pittsburgh is famously disappointing, that also is famously disappointing. So let's go over to Kyle.
Well, I'm happy to announce I don't have a stupid accent for to perform for you guys today.
Thank Christ.
I wasn't aware there was a Cincinnati accent until I was well into college, and I'm still not entirely sure what a Cincinnati accent is, except saying fur instead of for and saying ope as you pass by somebody. My steampunk adventure is going to drop us right into the middle of the nasty natty.
Oof.
And I am talking a full-scale, one-to-one remake of a city whose aesthetic has stayed in the late 1800s. So we're like just tapping into Cincinnati's like prime time of its life, the late 1800s when people still used trains, and we're acting like we never developed any technology since then.
So it's Cincinnati.
So Cincinnati.
Basically, Cincinnati with less cardboard on the windows.
So in my game, you wash up on the shores of the Ohio River near the Serpentine Wall.
Are you on fire?
You may or that's Cleveland. That's Cleveland where the river was on fire. You'll head to a nearby steamboat to get your bearings and win some of your starting cash for your adventure at the riverboat casinos. And before getting it, a tip to meet a mysterious woman in Grand Central Station that will begin your adventure. That's kind of all I'll give you right now. It's a steampunk RPG adventure through the streets of steampunk Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has a Grand Central Station?
I was going to ask the same question.
Grand Union Terminal. I wrote Grand Central Station every time.
Oh, okay.
But because my brain is dumb, but it's Grand Union Terminal. A big It's a
Grand
big
Union
train.
Termina, my favorite version of Majora's Mask.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, that's what I got.
I expect no less than 3 references to Chile. Yes.
We'll get to the role. We'll get to the role Chili plays in this game, Andrew.
Chili is actually the currency of the steampunk universe.
No, but Chili, Skyline Chilies are the Pokemon centers of this game.
Kyle, just a clarifying question. I have always been told that the only good things about Cincinnati are in Kentucky. Was this true in the 1800s?
No, in the 1800s, Kentucky wishes it had anything good. In the 1800s, Cincinnati was like a rival to New York because of its place on the river and Grand Union Terminal, where every train passing through the Midwest passed through Grand Union Terminal.
Wow.
And then trains went away, and so did our commerce.
Man, the exact same thing happened to the town I grew up in. We should talk about that later.
We don't need to. This is a happy podcast.
So Todd, is your city currently experiencing an economic depression? Because it seems like the other 2 on this list have been for quite some time.
I don't directly answer that question in the answer I'm about to give you, but I also will indirectly probably answer your question.
Okay. Thank you, I guess.
Let me paint you a picture, Andrew and company.
How sweaty is this picture?
Oh man, it's there's definitely a sweaty film. So the advertisements made it seem like a beach paradise to those too naive to do their homework ahead of time. Crisp ocean air and the allure of scenic palm trees are enough to entice anyone who doesn't know the truth behind what has taken over A1A from Ormond to New Smyrna. Before you know it, you found yourself in the sunny hellscape of the southern apocalyptic wasteland that is Daytona Beach, Florida.
Gross.
Poisoned sand in your shoes, mutated alligators in the waters, and NASCAR fumes plaguing the air will make each day increasingly dangerous in this sunshine state wasteland. You didn't mean to end up here, but let's be honest, no one ever does. To leave this wasteland... Wait. Hold questions till the end. I gotta stick the landing. To leave this wasteland, you'll have to take on several men who control parts of Florida through erratic actions. The fact is, you're here now, in Fallout, Florida Man Chronicles.
There. Okay.
I was bracing for Florida Man and Fallout, so I'm glad you hit them both.
There it is.
So if in Kyle's... if his is going to be Skyline as the Pokemon centers, in Daytona Beach, Publixes are the super duper marts of this Fallout.
Man, dude, I have been to Publix a couple times down in South Carolina. Publix rules.
Publix
Yeah,
is
they're
awesome.
slubs. They're slubs. They slap.
Yeah, dude.
They're
Yeah.
slubs. They're slub slap, Todd.
They're slubs.
Yeah.
Slub sap.
Publix and Harris Teeters. Nothing?
Oh, I'm not
Oh,
familiar
okay.
with that one.
All right,
That's
well,
not.
It's got the best supermarket name now that Piggly Wiggly is closed.
Oh, yeah. R.I.P.
Oh, pour one out.
One thing about that everybody from Pittsburgh has in common is that they know Myrtle Beach very well, because
so
that is
true.
where Pittsburgh vacations.
It's the Outer Banks in Cincinnati, but it's the same.
That's right. That's right.
Well, that's why, I mean, and again, like, you know, we all kind of chose our locations for specific reasons, but, like, I had a vision in my head of what I thought Daytona Beach was until I moved there, and I was like, oh. Oh. Are there supposed to be syringes in the sand, or is that just what we do down here?
You just wake up next to a used Band-Aid every day, right? You don't know where it comes from. It's just there.
I assume that there's some sort of exchange plan that I didn't know, like you have to throw one on the beach when you drive your car on the beach, because that's the thing they do down there.
I'm getting the image of, what is it, the Jersey Shore, but the Jersey Shore in that episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
It's well, yeah, and I get to some of that here, but I wanted to say I didn't answer your question of if they're dealing with an economic depression, but like
It's implied.
business hasn't been the same since spring break '98.
My
Fantastic.
favorite part about your pitch so far, Todd, is that you didn't say like the fumes of NASCAR vehicles or gasoline or tire rubber. You just lump NASCAR fumes together, which leaves adequate room for the fumes of the people, and I think that that's important.
So yeah, like I mean, it's probably knowledge that we like type out, bits we want to make sure we get right. And when I was doing this, I was like, oh, I need to set this in the post-apocalyptic future. I'm like, actually, I don't. if I just like describe things as they are, I think and then I just keep like details loose, I think we'll be okay.
Daytona Beach is like 2 mild inconveniences from being a post-apocalyptic wasteland anyway. So.
Yeah.
Oh, that was very good.
I have one more question before we move on, Todd.
Yeah, you.
Do you start the game with the low grade fever, or does it take a few hours into the game for that to develop?
I think as soon as you, the first time you cut your foot on either a shard of something or a discarded Busch Light can on the beach, you're gonna catch a fever. The reality is it's gonna last for at least 2 weeks, but then you're just gonna like level out to it and be stronger for it.
I was gonna say, I imagine it's like radiation in Fallout. It's just part of the HUD.
Yep, that's just what it is. How many pieces of glass have you stepped on?
Right. It's not a binary thing. It's just a sliding scale. A little sliding scale. All right. Let's move on. So, some could argue that the setting is one of, if not the most important, characters to a story. So, for example, what would Home Alone 2 be without New York City? What would Rocky have run up if not for the Philadelphia Museum of Art? Those are the stairs, the Rocky stairs. I had to look that up.
Noted. Thank you.
And most importantly, what would comic book villains be able to destroy on a monthly basis if we didn't have the Golden Gate Bridge?
I like that of all the films set in New York City. Mm-hmm. You went with Home Alone 2.
I did, and I'll tell you a couple of reasons. Because most recently we went on a little trip to New York City in December, and we did it was like, for the purposes of doing like a Home Alone 2 tour, like just for funsies.
Okay.
And apparently that's what everybody does when they go to New York City. I did not know this.
Really?
Everybody goes to the plaza, and if they're going in Christmas. Sure. They go to the plaza, they go to FAO Schwartz. Not a lot of people eating pizzas in limousines, but you get the impression. You get the picture.
Right on.
Gotcha.
So let's get into it. Tell me, how are you going to constantly remind your audience that they are in the gamified version of your chosen city? Your game will need to be able to shove this fact in the player's faces at any given opportunity. So, Matt, how are we going to drive the point home that your game is set in Pittsburgh?
Well, Andrew, every mission starts coming through the Fort Pitt tunnels with that beautiful sprawling view of the city. Doesn't matter where Yin's going. You always start at the Fort Pitt tunnels. Gone to the Strip? Start at the tunnels. Gone to the zoo? Start at the tunnels. Green Tree? Best believe Yin's starting in the tube.
Now, quick question.
Yeah.
Do you hold your breath in the tunnels every time or just the first time?
Well, it depends where you load in. It depends what time of day you're playing. Because if you hit at traffic, you can't hold your breath. You're going to die. But if you don't hit at traffic, like if it's early or late, you can probably hold your breath through there. Anyway,
sorry, that was a narrow reference for
that's okay.
For only a few people.
That one was for Daddy. I got to settle back into character here. Okay. Now, the more Pittsburgh your route is, the more time bonuses Yin's going to get for your final score net. Every time Yin's go over a bridge, that's a 5-second bonus. Unless you manage to cross the Clemente Bridge when it's actually open to traffic and not pedestrians, that's 10 seconds. Every Pittsburgh left you make also gets you a 7-second bonus. That's 7 seconds for Big Ben. Don't take me out, I'm not done.
Shit.
Now, Yin's going to be delivering some very important Pittsburgh things. It's a hockey night in Pittsburgh. Yin's got to get the Orange City to the arena before puck drop. I ain't got time to go out, so run down to Giant Eagle and pick me up some chip chopped and about a half pound of jumbo. Now, there's a field trip at the Science Center, and they're out for condiments for lunch. So Yin's got to get from the Heinz office to the North Shore before lunch, but 279 is closed, and the 10th Street bypass is underwater, so this one's going to be tough. Either way, Yinz will never forget it's Pittsburgh, because you only got 3 radio stations.
Fuck.
DVE, The X, and KDKA 1020. There is DLC, though. Pack 1 has a Clark CD, and Pack 2 has Donnie Iris. Woo! Okay, questions? Questions? I'm out of character. What do you got?
It took me till like the third time you said it to realize Giant Eagle is Giant Eagle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think I'll ever be able to unhear Yinzel, which is utter insanity. That's not a real thing.
I got a different experience out of what Matt did because after about the third sentence, I was like, man, I really miss Crazy Taxi. And then I jumped in like 5 sentences later and just totally got assaulted by things I did not understand.
Are there any vocabulary questions? Do I need to clear anything up? I do want to say that Giant Eagle is very much how you say Giant Eagle. And Giant Eagle was so self-aware of the fact that their old video store used to be Eagle Video. And their childcare center was the Eagle's Nest. And the name of the official Giant Eagle mascot is Eagle the Eagle. That's very real.
Is Giant Eagle Pittsburgh based?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Heinz Ketchup used to be, but I think they moved like a long time ago, didn't
the
they?
factory moved. They still have a corporate office.
Yeah. They still have the office,
Yeah,
that's right.
downtown.
The sentence every Pittsburgh left also gets you a 7-second bonus. 7 for Big Ben is utter nonsense.
Okay,
What's
so
a Pittsburgh left? What's 7 for Big Ben? Big Ben is a clock in London.
Pittsburgh left is a left on a right, a left on a red light.
I'm now realizing Ben is probably Ben Roethlisberger, which makes me hate it even more.
Correct.
That is true. Yep.
And I hate it.
So the Pittsburgh left is if you're on a road and you're at a stoplight and you are trying to turn left and you're the first person at the light and the person across from you is going straight, when the light turns green, the left turn has the right of way, but just the first left turn.
What?
Yeah.
That's madness.
Yeah,
I don't believe this.
That's a Pittsburgh
Utter
left.
insanity.
Also, if you're going from a one-way to a one-way on a red light, that's a Pittsburgh left. But yeah, that's real. The first left turn has the right of way at the green light. It's almost gotten me T-boned in Ohio like too many times.
Yeah, because it's not a
Yikes.
real thing and is ridiculous.
I'm surprised the entire eastern half of Ohio is not just littered with signs that specifically say you cannot do this
Yeah.
in this state.
Yeah.
Do not try.
That's part of the reason why Ohio drivers and Pennsylvania drivers have a war going on, and will forever have a war going on.
Yeah, there is a blood feud.
Yep.
All right, I'm done. That's all I got for this question.
Matt, I want to give you props. I want to give you a lot of props, but I want to give you extra props for the DLC packs with the Clark CD and Donnie Iris.
Thanks.
Because
I went
very,
back
very
and
good.
forth between Donnie Iris and Joe Grishecki and the House Rockers, and I couldn't decide. But I thought Donnie Iris had a wider spread.
I think you made the right choice. All right, fuck, Kyle. What can you? You're not doing accents, right? We're
not
done
doing
with
accents.
No.
Fantastic.
Just my normal baked in Cincinnati accent, I guess. So, while Union Terminal will be our home base in this semi-surreal adventure, it's going to take you all over the Queen City. So you will start out getting your bearings downtown, making runs into Over the Rhine and Clifton. I couldn't think of the other name. Over the Rhine and Clifton for early supply runs. You'll go to Great American Ballpark to make connections to the city's power players, and Crone Conservatory for research, and just because the butterflies are really pretty. However, as your adventure continues, you'll be taken to the darker side of the city. You'll have to garner support for your patron that you're serving, from porn magnate Larry Flint at Hustler headquarters. You'll cross.
Wait, what? I'm back. Hold on.
Nice. That's good.
Hustler magazine was based out of Cincinnati for a long, long time,
I've learned so much about Cincinnati today.
Interesting.
and is a weird part of our history that people are both like strangely proud of and appalled by.
This is weirdly becoming the most educational episode of Debate This.
David Letterman was not David Letterman. Jerry Springer was also our mayor for a brief time in the 70s.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy shit.
And then he got removed from office for, the rumor is, I don't know how true this is, the rumor is for paying a prostitute with a check.
I mean, but yeah, like
Anywho,
Whew.
So you'll cross the Roebling Suspension Bridge to venture into northern Kentucky for the things you just can't get on the Ohio side of the river, like booze, cigarettes, info, etc. You'll cross Vine Street to go into the west side. Find a people left behind when the east side prospered. If you get tired or need healing or just are hungry, there you will stop into the many Skyline chilies peppered throughout the city to heal up and rest.
There it is.
Although there will also be independent chili shops that offer similar services. They will have their own like different benefits and drawbacks to using each of those as well. Because, man, if everyone in Cincinnati doesn't have their preferred Skyline to begin with, and then preferred like independent Cincinnati chili place.
What the fuck is with Cincinnati and chili, Kyle?
Hey, Kyle, after I beat the main story, am I able to go back and do New Story Plus DLC where I convert all of those franchises into Skylines?
Yes, that's the bonus mini game is overtaking Price Hill Chili and Washington's Chili and all the independently owned places and converting them to
Cincinnati's
chili.
Best Chili, which is like I think a brand. Like I just want to crush all these franchises so that
Your final boss will be toppling their biggest competitor, Gold Star Chili.
Gold Star. Yep.
That is a name that I've heard.
I've driven by those. Yes.
That's all I got. You're doing a BioShock-esque RPG throughout Cincinnati, east and west, north and south, crossing into Kentucky for your undesirables every once in a while.
Kyle, question for you.
Answer.
Is there a tiered system or a tier system on chili that's based on your own personal preferences, or are you going to balance them out?
It will be based entirely on my personal preferences. So while Skyline is kind of our baseline, like gets it done, there are worse independent places. There are better independent places, and they will be reflected in the game. Yes, thank you. Very good question.
Okay, if we can't question, if for some reason the empire of Skyline must fall due to plot reasons, will its successor also offer Chilitos? Because I just want Chilitos all the time.
I can't promise that, Todd.
Oh God.
We must protect it at all costs.
I don't know if other chili places carry tortillas or not.
I don't know what it is about putting chili in a tortilla and then like slap some sour cream and some cheese and onions and mustard and hot sauce in there, but Jesus.
No, I love Skyline chili, but the mere existence of the Chilito makes me question humanity to its core.
It's absolute disgusting. It's garbage.
I want a tortilla the size of a sleeping bag, and I want to roll up into a Todd-sized Chilito and eat my way out.
That's how Todd wants to die.
I'm going to emerge like Jim Carrey in When Nature Calls when he comes out of the rhino's ass.
Ever since Todd, you bought that half pallet of take home like Skyline chili you can make at home, and it was just purple. Like it was like,
oh no,
the color was like a deep mauve.
Yeah. Skyline. So when I lived in Athens, you could not get fresh Skyline. There's no Skyline
fresh
nearby.
Skyline.
So you had to get it from
you can ever get fresh Skyline.
Yeah, that's an oxymoron in itself.
Skyline fresh from the tap is the preferred. So yeah, we made it out of cans, and it just kind of like came out in.
Yeah,
that's chili coming out of a tap.
Once you kick the keg, you got to refresh a new chili keg.
Oh, my stomach hurts. It was the most disgusting, unappetizing thing I think I've ever seen in my life, and that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, and it definitely wasn't the last time I bought a can of Skyline chili and made it for myself. So
oh no, that's how I'm surviving out here in Colorado.
All right. Well, speaking of disgusting brown liquid, let's talk about Daytona Beach
Pittsburgh again.
the Fallout Florida
Daytona
Man
Beach.
Chronicles. So I've got some more to paint this picture. So upon your arrival, you're overwhelmed with the freshwater breeze and crushing sense of despair, but pleasantly surprised by the lack of humidity when it rains, which is nice.
Does everybody talk about it all the time?
People just get used to it, and then if you bring it up, you're like, oh yeah, that's just how it is around here. Rains every day in the morning, and then it's no humidity by 2. As shambling beach junkies, ill-informed college-age Midwesterners, and sun-crisp snowbirds swarm the beach, you decide to seek refuge in one of the 50 spray art t-shirt design shops on the kind of shitty boardwalk. Which was probably the thing I noticed most while living down there. Before you know it, you're rummaging for food on the world's largest Joe's Crab Shack, gnawing on a discarded king crab leg. You ultimately know that your only real safe space will be the last battalion of hope, the impregnable fortress known as the local favorite strip club, Biggins.
That doesn't exist. Does that actually exist?
There is 3,000% a strip club on international on A1A called Biggins.
I thought you were gonna say there are 3,000 Biggins throughout Florida, which is just as believable.
Yeah.
Biggins is the Skyline Chili of strip clubs. So
How do you spell Biggins?
I'm pretty sure it's Biggins.
Okay, so you said Biggins, and that's what I heard. But then in my brain, I was like, "What if it's like Biggins, like Bigguns, like big ones?"
Yeah,
going down to see the Biggins.
No, it is one of 2 strip clubs there on International Speedway Boulevard or A1A's area, and if I remember right, it's just this like crappy looking building with a red sign that says Biggins. Anyway. Your ultimate goal here is to make it across the causeway into the Daytona Promised Land. The most dangerous and well-armed location in all of the Daytona wasteland is the Daytona International Speedway. On your way there, you're gonna have to resupply up at the single-story Volusia Mall, where you can barter for provisions at the mall's flagship restaurant, Applebee's. Along the way, Florida men generals out to claim portions of the Sunshine State as their own try to thwart your journey out of this nightmare. And you posted the picture of Biggins. Good. They'll try and thwart your journey out of this nightmare that is the International Speedway Boulevard stoplight schedule. But to cut aside from all of this, there is a really shitty mall in Daytona Beach, Florida, which is wild to think that exists, and it's shitty because it's right across from the International Speedway. It's single story. 3 of the department stores are all Belks, which is like the JCPenney for Florida.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, the like flagship restaurant that is like facing out towards society is an Applebee's.
That all tracks.
That all very much tracks. And
which
it's
is crazy.
probably an insanely popular mall too, is the sad part.
Yeah.
Out of location only.
Right.
Like which is wild. Like it should be such a good mall and it's just super not.
Hey man, how else are you gonna get your $2 Brutus on Tuesday night?
Todd, I have a question.
Yeah.
So since this is a Fallout game, what are the warring factions called that are trying to take over Daytona Beach?
I definitely think there's got to be they're definitely a tribe. Like I said earlier, the sun-crisped snowbirds, like the oldies that have relocated down to Florida.
Oh, the blue hairs?
The blue hairs, yeah. They're seasonal, though, so they're not like a big issue in so much the summer, but in the quote colder months where it's actually just wetter and windier in Florida, they are down there in full force. Likewise, like I said, the ill-informed college-age Midwesterners, the college students that come vacation on Daytona Beach when they don't realize it's not a place you really want to vacation.
Yeah.
I would also say beach hippies and junkies. That is a third faction. The last one would probably be the turn left cultists. That is the their necks are red and they smell of Busch Light.
That's fantastic. I would like to share just a piece of literature here. So I looked up Biggins as well as some of the other guys, and I saw a couple Yelp reviews, which are pretty great.
No.
This one here, which is real. Well, first of all, their page on Yelp is just a zoomed in picture of a hot dog with mustard on it. So win there. This used to be a Ryan's Family Restaurant. Not an important fact, but a funny one. It is quote
awesome. It probably didn't change the inside much.
Probably not. It is, quote, pretty spacious and usually only has a few girls working at a time. This ain't the classiest place, but you don't go to Daytona Beach looking for prestige.
Oh.
There are 2 pool tables and a full bar. Also, boobs.
There is
Wow.
So there's one other strip club you have to drive past just if you're down there, and it's called the Shark Lounge. And my only they have a marquee out in front of their strip club, as you do. And one day it said, "Good news, our lap dances are now gluten-free." And that sticks with me like 8 years later as to one, was that just really, really clever, or was that someone being stupid? What where
A little bit of both.
Todd, I have really bad news for you. The Shark Lounge has been permanently closed.
Oh, well, it looks like Biggins has pulled a skyline and absorbed their competitors.
Biggins is it.
God.
All right, guys, let's move on. Okay, so we've established the setting. We've established all of the key points where your game's going to take place. Your story is moving forward. Your game's story is bound to reach a thrilling climax, which will most likely pit your protagonist against your story's antagonist or antagonists. There may be a massive struggle. Maybe some people will learn something about themselves and grow as people. But most importantly, tell me where these showdowns are going to happen. Let me know how your city is going to be featured front and center in your game's epic conclusion.
Oh boy. Well, Andrew.
Here we go.
So in the final mission, Yinz got to deliver the key to the city to Mayor Pajuto down at Point State Park. We're finally giving Mario the honor he deserves behind the fountain this afternoon. The only problem is that Yinz can't get your Honda on the trails to get to the fountain, so Yinz will have to knock this delivery out on foot. But what's that on the horizon? That group of silhouettes sliding down the convention center? It's them bastard pierogies coming to race Yinz to the point. Now it's a Mad Race Simpsons hit and run style. Yin's got to drive, dash, punch, and kick all over the city to beat the fastest dumplings in Tri-Valley. If you win, Yinz will get a pair of season passes to Kennywood. But if you lose, everybody you mowed down along the way will sue, and Edgar Snyder will track Yinz down.
Why do I assume pierogies and dumplings are both racial slurs?
That's terrible. No, the pierogies are the mascots that race at all the Pirates games.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
There's Chester Cheddar
They definitely
and
sound like racial slurs.
Oliver Onion and goddamn, I don't remember the pierogies' names.
That's all I got.
Okay.
That's all I
Yeah,
took away
I mean-
from it was.
I gotta shout.
I found it.
I need to
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just
Go
gonna say it's sauerkraut Saul, cheese Chester, jalapeno Hannah, Oliver Onion, potato Pete, bacon Bert, and pizza Penny. That's from MLB.com.
Good.
Do they rotate?
Yeah,
Or
you
do
don't
they
really
all
like.
6 race each time?
No, so usually it's only like 4 or 5. Bacon Bert and pizza Penny don't come out that often. Usually it's sauerkraut
Only the
Saul,
big-
cheese
only the
Chester,
big game.
jalapeno Hannah, Oliver Onion, and sometimes potato Pete. Paste Pot Pete's distant relative, Potato Pete.
Yeah, sure.
There it
In
is.
the meta. This just solidifies my theory that diabetes is created in Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
I don't know. Our national food is chili here in
That's true.
Cincinnati.
That's true. Maybe just generally the Midwest is a very gross place to be. Kyle. Sure.
Sure.
So defeated.
So Andrew,
Let's do it.
as the game progresses, the kind, eccentric museum curator that you've been working for the whole game will eventually reveal that she has been working on an incredible tram system that will connect the east and west sides of the city and give affordable, clean, convenient transportation to every citizen of Cincinnati. However,
But
there are powerful people working against the tram, spreading disinformation that it will bring corruption to the west side and it will bring undesirables to the city. So for the final
Listeners at
showdown,
home, you couldn't see Kyle's air quotes on that
yeah,
one.
you could hear him though.
Yeah.
So for the final showdown, you will fight your way through Paul Brown Stadium and the entire Cincinnati Bengals team to reach your final showdown with owner of the Bengals and half the city, Mike Brown. Real life villain Mike Brown.
That's very good.
Using the reanimated corpses of the Bengals players you've just slayed, you will face one last showdown against the team before getting your opportunity to take down the big bad Mike Brown himself.
So you're literally up against the city. I love it.
Exactly.
That's very good. All right, Todd, how are we going to end the Florida Man Fallout Chronicles?
It's good. So much like every other Fallout game, you're approaching this huge fortress. You just recently resupplied at the local Applebee's. You're ready to go. As you approach the Daytona International Speedway, fumes of diesel, stale bush light, and man hang in the air.
Man. The smell of man.
It's spelled M-A-Y-A-N. Man. You make your way through the grandstands to see the architect of the Daytona wasteland, the current governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. He stands atop his oil-guzzling beast, his neck red, his polo generously unbuttoned, his croquis on. Around him swarms a flock of snowbirds, their political views toxic. You charge head-on into the infield to take on the king of all Florida men and his turn-left cultists in the middle of the Rolex 24, armed only with whatever you brought in your cooler from home. Because NASCAR is the only professional sport that allows you to bring a cooler into the stadium, because of course. That is a real fact. As of the one and only time I went to a NASCAR race, you could show up with a cooler.
Yep.
That's very real.
That's very real.
Wow, that was a lot of imagery in a small amount of time.
What are croquis shoes?
No, croquis are the things that go on your sunglasses.
Okay.
So everything about like traditional like frat bro thing is meant for boating. Boat shoes.
Yeah.
Croquis keep your sunglasses on your head in case they fall off. The high shorts, so when you're wading in water.
Yep.
All of these things make sense, except when
when you're in a landlocked college town in the middle of Ohio.
Yeah.
And I say this with all knowledge that I've worn like 3/4 of the things I've just listed. But yes, imagery.
Imagery. Okay, well, I hope we have painted a picture, albeit an incredibly disgusting one. We are going to move over to the super secret bonus question. All right, guys. When Fallout 76 was teased, you might remember we got that killer trailer that was played to John Denver's Country Roads, revealing that it would take place in West Virginia. So after the break, I want each of you to tell me how you're going to build hype for your game setting by injecting some licensed music into your kick-ass trailer. And we will talk about it more after we come back from a quick break. All right, and we're back. So just to recap, the super secret bonus question was, give me the licensed music that will be the backer to your awesome trailer or reveal trailer that is intended to generate hype for your new game. We will start with Matt.
All right, so I have so many options to pick from. Pittsburgh is a great music city. There have been a lot of great music to come out of Pittsburgh, and some
That's
that I've
true.
already referenced. I could have gone with the Clarks. Could have been Better Off Without You. That would have been great. Could have gone with the man Donnie Iris. Could have been, I have a list of best Donnie Iris songs somewhere. Aaliyah. Aaliyah is a Donnie Iris song. Could have been Joe Grishecki and the House Rockers. Could have been Talking to the King. Could have been a lot of great Pittsburgh songs. But I don't think anything gets the hype up and also embodies the crazy taxi edge that we're going for, like Wiz Khalifa's 2000s hit Black and Yellow. Black and Yellow is absolutely the song.
That's the right answer.
Because it also matches the color of the taxi. Black and Yellow. That's the song. Wiz Khalifa.
That's very good.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you.
All right, Kyle.
All right. So similar to Matt, we had a lot of good options coming out of Cincinnati. but let me do the trailer for you instead. So the trailer comes in, you get the nice like pan shot of Union Terminal, our headquarters, our defining landmark of Cincinnati. You keep panning, you get a good shot of the river with all the steamboats going, steam rising up, and Killing It by Foxy Shazam fades in. Just high energy club rock fades in, and you just keep getting these action shots of you fighting punks through the streets of Cincinnati, different action shots all around town, and it ends with the song kind of fading out as you stare up at Paul Brown Stadium for one last, like, as a hint at our final fight and who you take on in the game. But Killing It by Foxy Shazam
Awesome.
is our licensed musical pick today.
All right, Todd.
So, like most Fallout games, Fallout Florida Man Chronicles starts with a pan over the city, where we find our protagonist walking with his companion, a one-eyed alligator named Chubbs. Before we get to see the scenes of your character actually battling off bugs the size of baseballs, we hear the introductory hot breath talking of Cisco saying, "This thing right here is letting all the ladies know what guys talk about. You know, the finer things in life." Check it out. And just then, the 1996 summer hit Thong Song pops off to scenes of your character riding in an all-snowbird motorcycle gang and hurdling old buffet tables turned stripper stages at Biggins.
Now, Todd, I do have one follow-up question. This will make or break your recommend. Can you make the name of the mission where you go to Biggins called Dumps Like a Truck Shrek?
It's gonna have isn't it Grand Theft Auto that has all the cleverly titled missions or things? Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah, they're all definitely. I mean, there's so many good classic quotes in Thong Song. I mean, Cisco's not doing anything. He'll sell all the royalties to us.
Oh, that's very
Cisco's a DLC character. I don't know. Whatever.
Fuck it.
Yeah,
we got the money. All right, guys. So we've talked about a lot today. We've got a crazy taxi set in Pittsburgh. We've got an open world RPG set in Cincinnati, and we've got whatever the hell your end of the world Fallout is in Florida.
And we've got a normal day in Florida.
It's just Florida.
I think it's just Florida.
Florida.
I don't even know if this is a game anymore. I think this is just your recount of living in Florida.
Yeah.
Let me hear a couple very quick closing statements to end this out.
Well, I would like to quote prolific American artist, what's her name? I have it pulled up. Petula Clark. Prolific American artist Petula Clark to say, "When you're alone and life is making you lonely, you can always go, Dahn.
Just steamboats and chili. Steamboats and chili.
It's the Ohio version of Boats and Hose.
It is the Ohio version of Boats and Hose.
I have tattoos on either bicep. One says steamboats and the other says chili. In a land that time forgot and God refuses to acknowledge, you can be the one Florida man to rule them all.
Okay. What a tagline. All right. Well, I'm going to go make a decision on which of you is going to get this city managership. Is that the premise I set up? That's the premise I set up.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you guys give each other some good vibes while you're waiting for a verdict?
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, guys. I really enjoyed this.
This was so much fun.
Kyle, you taught me more about Cincinnati than I knew there was to learn about Cincinnati today.
Right. It's a good old town with a lot of history.
What a wonderful place it was 220 years ago. How interesting and unique that is to Cincinnati and Cincinnati alone. But yeah, that was cool. Good job making a world out of Cincinnati things, what with the skylines and such. I enjoyed that conversation we had about the chilies of Cincinnati. Todd, Daytona Beach is a gross place. It is a gross, disgusting, heinous place. Again, I would like to go back to question 1 where you said the word NASCAR fumes. That's what stuck with me today. NASCAR fumes and the smell of man.
It's actually a disease you can catch in the game.
Yeah, so good vibes, I guess, on that note. And then my last good vibes goes to all of our listeners in places that aren't Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, or Daytona Beach. And
Sorry.
all of our friends on the West Coast and all of those downloads we get from Australia and the Netherlands. Hey, thanks for listening to this. You learned something about some places today. Congratulations.
Learned some things about some stuff. Matt, I very much enjoyed the effort you put into pandering to Andrew today. Your accent was very fun, and it was a good bit. I think I knew all this about Pittsburgh, except the Pittsburgh left is still insanity. And kudos to both of you for surviving that weird hellscape that allows such an odd driving direction to occur. But it was very fun, and I want a Crazy Taxi game that is just U.S. cities, and each DLC pack is more cities like that, because driving Crazy Taxi through Pittsburgh sounds very fun. Todd, Daytona Beach and a Fallout game is just like chocolate and peanut butter. Like, I can't. Daytona Beach is already pretty close to being a post-apocalyptic hellscape anyway. You just pushed them a little closer together, and it's very good. And I don't ever want to hear about Biggins ever again in my life.
You are only kidding yourself if you think that'll never come up again.
Oh, I know it's in our zeitgeist now. It's part of us.
So obviously I've been to Cincinnati, but I've been to Pittsburgh just a couple of times and didn't recognize a lot of the things you said, Matt, but enjoyed the things I did. I'm much with Kyle that I read in the show notes the word Gine Eagle. And my brain makes a clicking noise. It's a clicking. It's just a clicking that just I struggle with. But I had a really, really good time imagining, like I said, Crazy Taxi taking place in another real city and how mad that would be. And also the concept of a Crazy Taxi game where you're stuck in tube tunnel time, like where you're just stuck in traffic. Sounds abysmal.
It's pretty much Pittsburgh.
It's just Pittsburgh.
Abysmal traffic.
Kyle, I have not spent much time in Cincinnati, but I enjoyed the bits that I did, and I enjoyed that you referenced Over the Rhine, because that's where Rhinegeist is at.
Yes.
And it's a neat little place.
There's a whole thing about Over the Rhine and gentrification that will definitely be in the game that I didn't get into today, but Over the Rhine's a very, very hopping place now.
Yeah, our Lyft driver took us there and was like, "Are you sure you want to be here?" And then we took another turn. She's like, "Oh yeah, Rhinegeist is here." Yeah. Definitely have a huge love in my heart for Skyline and all things Skyline, and I enjoyed what you did to make Cincinnati the steampunk future that it really should be, to make us love it a little bit more. Ashamed and sad that it doesn't have a good aquarium, but I hear Kentucky has one.
Newport is an annexed part of Ohio, actually.
I think that's what Newport would probably say as well.
Oh yeah, that's the joke there.
Okay, we're back. Has made a decision. We're just gonna get into it. All of you guys had really, really good pitches today. I'm happy with everything that I've heard. We're gonna extend the city managership to Todd.
Yes.
Boo.
Yes.
Boo.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because Todd, like I said, just recounted his experience in living in Florida. He didn't change anything. I didn't
take artistic liberties in much.
No. Wow, the other two of you made some really good cartoonizations, flanderizations of your cities, which were very entertaining. I think the most realistic depiction was Todd's near apocalypse of Daytona Beach.
Is that what we're going for? Realism?
Apparently. But because I've been playing a lot of Overwatch, I've been inspired a bit, and I'm going to award a play of the game.
Ooh.
And much like in Overwatch, you can be on the losing team and still get the play of the game. So I'm going to award play of the game to Matt. Woo! Specifically for that sick Edgar Snyder reference.
Yeah, thanks. I knew that was in there for somebody.
Because as everybody knows, Edgar Snyder.
There's never a fee unless we get money for you.
And with that incredibly narrow reference, we're going to close out today. Thanks everybody so much for listening to Debate This, especially for our friends in Pittsburgh. You can follow along with the arguments on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at DebateThisCast, and check out our website at debatethiscast.com. If you like what you hear, please leave us a review so more people can hear our nerdy show, and we promise we won't reference Pittsburgh nearly as much in future episodes. Until next time, I'm Andrew Henderson.
I'm Matt, the fastest pierogi in the Tri-Valley Coal.
I'm Kyle, Steamboats and Chili Harper.
I'm Todd, sponsored by Applebee's, or Biggins probably, Thomas.
And we're saying thanks for debating with us, and if you think we're wrong, then you can come fight us behind the swing sets, nerds.
Nice.
Woo! That was a good time.
That was excellent.